On this week's Flames Central, Liberty football has that 1-0 feeling, but it wasn't easy. We'll hear what everyone's saying about the thriller.
Plus, see how running back coach Bruce Johnson pours into his players, and the story of a giant human with a very surprising hobby. It all starts now on Flames Central.
What a start to the season. We've been wanting football, and we got a whole lot more than we expected in week one. Welcome to Flames Central, your home for all things Liberty Athletics. I'm Matt, she's Emily, and if the first game was any indication, buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride for Flames football this season.
Matt, I'm not wearing my Apple Watch right now, but I was during the game, and it was so high that it asked me if I was doing a workout. That wasn't the first time that happened during a Liberty game. I think it was field hockey the last time, and it won't be the last.
Yeah, it was a contest full of storylines, including an early loss, unfortunately, for LU. Starting quarterback Charlie Brewer left in the first quarter after hitting his throwing hand on a Southern Miss helmet, resulting in a fracture. We'll have more on his status in just a moment. But with Brewer out of the game, Liberty would turn to backup Jonathan Bennett. And in the second quarter, it was Bennett finding the end zone. An 18-yard touchdown run would put Liberty up 10-3, and that would be the score at the half. We jump now to the fourth quarter. It was all tied at 10 when Bennett threw his second interception of the game, and unfortunately, this one would go the distance the other way. Eric Scott with the pick six, and Southern Miss goes on top 17-10 late. That's when Hugh Freeze said, we're making the move. Third stringer, redshirt freshman Kendy Charles enters the ballgame, and on his first drive, he finds the end zone. This touchdown toss to Demario Douglas ties it at 17. Then, after a Golden Eagles touchdown with under 2 minutes to play, Salter drives Liberty down the field for a second score. Once again to Douglas, tying this game at 24 and sending it to overtime. And that's where the fun really began. In the first OT, both teams missed field goals. In the second overtime, both teams would make field goals. Starting in the third OT, the teams would alternate two-point conversions. Neither were successful. So finally, in the fourth overtime, Salter, a two-point strike with Jerome Jackson, and then the Liberty defense, which forced 5 turnovers in this game, would make one final stand. Liberty survives, winning by the final of 29-27, the first 4 overtime game in program history, and a win that Liberty fans will never forget.
Can't say enough about our grit, our fight, kids making plays. Obviously, it was a shock to us to lose Charlie on the first possession. Hate that for him, all that he's been through to prepare for this moment. That's one of the toughest things about coaching. But it happened, and man, props to JB for doing some good things, and obviously for Caden.
Coach always tell me stay ready, never know what'll happen. I mean, I just went out there, wanted to move the ball, made sure we put up points, and kept the game close.
Incredible victory on the road for LU. Coach Freeze is right. It really shows the grit that this team had to pull off the victory. In the meantime, let's see what everyone is saying about the Flames with a little hearsay with EA. College football reporter Bruce Feldman reported that Charlie Brewer is expected to be out 6 to 8 weeks. We can confirm that Charlie underwent surgery on Tuesday, receiving 3 pins in his hand. We'll keep you posted on his status moving forward. Again, just horrible news for a guy who worked so hard to get that starting job. But it's the next guy up mentality, right, Matt? Jonathan Bennett and Kendy Salter stepped up for Liberty to get the W, especially with these odds. Late in the game, Southern Miss had a 94.2% win probability. That went up in flames. Gotta love the sense of humor coming from the LU football account these days. So those odds, yeah, Salter shook that up, which means what, Matt?
Tell me.
He's the salt shaker.
Oh,
you can use that in your broadcast.
Yeah.
Local sports writer Damian Sordelet is saying it's Kendy Salter season. Hopefully he can do that moving forward for the Flames. Finally, one of the most prestigious guys around, Matt Warner. You might have heard of his name, dropping some insightful stats about the Liberty defense. It took the Flames 6 games last year to force its 4th turnover. They did that in one half against Southern Miss. A lot of good news here. Main thing, Matt can count.
Wow, I made hearsay with EA. This is quite the honor. Well, it was one of those games that had so many layers to it. The defense forcing 5 turnovers, 4 overtimes, and of course the quarterback situation for Liberty. And that was a big point of discussion on this week's Flames Central podcast, powered by Alcova Mortgage. Football analyst Joe Yock weighed in with his take on Kendy Salter and how he fared in week 1.
The thing that is hard for a third-string quarterback is your first-string quarterback is going to get a ton of the practice reps, obviously, right?
Right.
Your second-string quarterback is going to get a few of the practice reps. I know he'd plan on playoff 3, but I can imagine that during the week of practice, Caden Salter was not getting a lot of reps.
That's what Coach Freeze said yesterday.
And so
in the press conference.
it sort of puts you as a coach, it puts you in a difficult spot, especially if you have a drop back passer type of quarterback who hasn't received reps. Well, that's not Caden Salter, right? So what he was able to do is say, hey, I may have not gotten a lot of reps during practice, but I'm a baller, right? And so he was able to go out there and he made things happen with his legs to extend plays, and it was through the extension of plays that he was able to make the explosive plays that were the difference in the ballgame.
That wasn't even like the 5th best thing we talked about on this week's Flame Central podcast, powered by Alcova Mortgage. We talked about the Flames' defensive upgrades, we made bold predictions, and I shared my near-death experience with a snake. That's right. For those reasons, listen to the podcast. You can find it on Spotify, Apple, and now you can watch it on the Liberty Flames YouTube channel. Check out the podcast today.
We stay on the gridiron for our next feature. Bruce Johnson is Liberty's running backs coach. If you don't know him, you've probably heard him because he's arguably the loudest person at every practice, game, or meeting. Day in and day out, his energy is unmatched. They say you can't fill someone else's cup unless yours is full. Well, then Coach Johnson's cup is overflowing into fatherhood and as a football coach.
Hey, make sure you're aware of your surroundings and be alert when you're coming up here. Just bear up here. Whenever we can, we'll get out and we'll walk and talk. And, man, we talk about a lot. We talk about a lot about life. Those are moments when I can pour into them and give them something positive and give them something good. Childhood, what was it like? Fun, pain, strife, but all, just we smiled a lot. My dad got us into football when we were really, really young. My dad always told his friends, my mom, us, somehow, some way we were gonna get our education paid for, and it was through football.
Bruce would fulfill his father's prophecy by playing at the JUCO level, before eventually moving on to compete in Division I. But when his playing days came to an end, he wasn't quite ready for a 9-to-5. That's when an opportunity would arise to get into coaching.
So I was doing student teaching in Phoenix and had a job at a bank. And I interviewed for a Division I AA job at University of San Diego and ended up getting that job. And that was it. I told my wife, when we weren't married at the time, we were engaged. And I told her, I said, hey, we got to take this job. We got to make this move. This will be our opportunity to get our foot in the door and to just climb that ladder. I ended up flying back out to Phoenix, and we got married, and then we drove. We got to U-Haul 2 days later, and we were in San Diego at football camp, and that's all she wrote. Buzz your feet, buzz your feet, buzz your feet, buzz your feet. Flat, 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 flat. I might be on my 9th or 10th move. I'm not sure. I can't remember that. It didn't make a difference about how much money I made. It didn't make a difference. All the stuff about the lifestyle of being a coach, the amount of money that you can make, it had nothing to do with that. It was always about impacting lives. Yep, good.
Now the running backs coach at Liberty University, Johnson is once again working alongside head coach Hugh Freeze. Their first stint together was at Ole Miss, where Freeze would pour into his life and emphasize the importance of making family a priority.
When we got to Ole Miss, it was encouraged. Everything about family, everything about Christ, everything about the way we handle ourselves as men, the way we handle ourselves as fathers.
And as the father of 3 boys, Johnson has applied these life lessons to not only his own children, but the players he coaches.
You gotta have some energy, man, as you attack that line of scrimmage. I know my room, all my guys got something different. I always tell them, man, whatever you need to talk about, whatever it is, you can come talk to them. It'll be confidential, whatever, we can laugh, cry, whatever. You always have me as your strongest supporter. And then, so what if the linebacker crosses your path? What happens? Good job, Jalen. Okay. If you take on the attitude of them being yours, then you'll do right by them. Always compete. We good? We good? Let's go. Hey, let's get a quick one right here. Heavenly Father, Lord, I just thank you for this. Being here at Liberty, it allows you to pour into them through Jesus Christ, right? So that's a whole nother aspect. That's a different type of love. Get to the cone, get around the cone. Good. Oh, good job, Dro.
And when he's not coaching up his players, you'll often find him on the sidelines of one of his son's many sporting events. And his presence there doesn't go unnoticed.
We had a soccer match we went to, and the minute I walked in and sat down, I could see my son, my youngest son, look over. And he was literally running full speed to try to get to the ball, and he looks over and glances, and his eyes look over. And so he was good. You know, because your children always want affirmation. Your children always want to be told, hey, I'm going to be there. Those things go a long way. Those little deposits in their life, those little investments in their moments.
The impact of a father and the inspiration of a coach.
Hey, I'm going to climb the mountain today. It might be a little bumps, might be some adversity, but I'm going to work my tail off to get to the top. It's going to allow them to do the same things for their kids, and probably even better. To set that foundation in their lives of being a strong man, a father. It is huge.
Big thanks to our Jonah Jabor for producing that great piece. Okay, so this football life, it is so interesting. You're moving all across the country, uprooting your family here and there, but it's really cool that Coach Freeze brought Coach Johnson back on this staff here on the mountain.
Yeah, and you see the impact Coach Freeze has made on the coaches underneath him, in that, like, hey, football's important, but I want your family to be a huge focus as well. Obviously, Coach Johnson is doing that, and that is, like, forget wins, forget losses, pouring into his children, that's the most important thing in his life, and you saw it.
Good deal for Johnson's boys, too.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a whole bunch of brothers with all those guys on the team. Okay, switching gears to the hardwood. We got you caught up on the men's non-conference schedule last week, so now it's time to mark your calendars for the ladies. The circled games here are at home, starting off the season with Richmond coming from just down the street, as well as Salem, Hampton, and Limestone, all at Liberty Arena. Then a few tough tests on the road. James Madison, East Carolina, Minnesota, South Carolina, just to name a few. Less than 2 months away from tip-off. I can't believe it. All right, coming up, get to know one Liberty defensive lineman who's as confident with the needle and thread as he is on the gridiron.
Plus, what other teams are hot on Liberty's campus? We'll give you the info when Flame Central returns.
Shedler untouched. Oh, goodness, what a sack. Says, boys, that's how we do it. 10, 5, right about. Yes, touchdown, Liberty.
God's calling for your life can be specific. And at Liberty, we're committed to equipping you to pursue that calling. Choose from more than 300 residential programs of study, or design your own major through interdisciplinary studies, and be confident your major is the perfect fit. No matter how specific your calling, you'll find a program of study to match at Liberty University, and become your best as a champion for Christ.
Welcome back to the show. In Liberty football's season-opening win over Southern Miss, defensive lineman Kendy Charles had 7 tackles, including the final one to end the game. The guy's an absolute beast, which makes his off-the-field hobby that much more interesting. It's time for another edition of our popular segment, Out of the Office.
As a big guy, it's so hard to find stuff that fits you. The only sound I can hear is the sound of the sewing machine going, and it's peaceful, you know. The minute my heart starts beating, I get really excited. Like the minute I start pressing and I start sewing, I get really excited because I know at the end it will be something I love and appreciate, and only me, I will have that. I got into it as a way to stop thinking about football while I was injured. It's just a different outlet to bring kind of peace of mind to myself. I just went on YouTube and searched how to sew and different ways and different hiccups you're gonna have when you sew. And at first I struggled. With anything you do in life, you're gonna struggle. I think I was natural at it. It's crazy how God works, I told my dad I started sewing. He told me, the crazy thing, I used to sew. That's what I used to do for a living before you was born. So I think it's just in my blood, honestly.
Just where I wanted it. Be good.
What makes a good sewer, you have to be patient and enjoy the process, basically. You can't rush it. Sometimes when I first started, I would, because I'm a big guy, I'm aggressive, so I would pull my fabric a little too hard and my needle would break, So I had to learn different fabric, I have to be patient with it, go slow. And it teaches you a lot of life lessons. Take your time, it's not a race. Be precise with everything that you do in life, Knowing what you're going to do before you do it. With sewing, if you're going as you go, you can't do that. And for me playing D-line, before the ball snap, I already know what move I'm going to use, what I'm going to do this play. And sewing is it's kind of like that, having an idea of how you want the end product to be, if you have a bad play this one, flush it. You get a brand new play. Do what you have to do. It's with the same thing with sewing. If you mess up, you just happily forget about it and go into the next piece and just keep working. Final part of success when I sew is just when I go into the locker room and the guys just ask me where you get that from. I'll be like, I made it. That's it.
Thanks to our Donald Scott for producing that. Matt, I think it's so cool that he had no idea his dad had the same hobby. Really cool to see how God works. Do you have any experience in sewing?
I do not, but you know what? Our own Rhett McGibbon, we're going to talk to in a minute. He's a fine seamstress. In fact, I once saw him stitch up his own hand when he cut it open. Different skill set, kind of the same. But you hear the maturity for Kendy Charles, right? Relating sewing, his hobby, to the game of football and really to life as well. A really mature young man.
Would have never guessed that would have been his hobby.
Right.
Okay, Liberty Field Hockey reached historic heights last season after competing in the national championship game, which means one thing.
Yeah, there's a target on their back.
Absolutely. Yeah. Every single team is going to bring its best when taking on the Flames. That was no different with William and Mary coming to Lynchburg for LU's home opener on this beautiful blue new pitch. The Flames had a couple missed opportunities in the first half. Reagan Underwood just left of the goal there. Martu Sion also unable to finish. So we're all tied up at 0 going into the half. And it would be the same story in the second. More missed opportunities for LU. So to overtime we go, where the Flames had 3 penalty corner opportunities but came up short. And unfortunately, the Tribe's senior defender, Ireland Miller, scored a penalty stroke in the 70th minute, giving William and Mary the upset victory. And the competition doesn't get any easier for LU, but I have a feeling the Flames will have no problem bouncing back.
All right, return to volleyball now. Lady Flames hosting a tournament this past weekend, and they were less than hospitable. LU defeated Winthrop, UNC Wilmington, and Murray State, with the last 2 wins coming via 3-0 sweeps. Trinity Watts was named the MVP of the tourney as she had double-figure kills in all 3 matches, while newcomer Delaney Dilfer was named ASUN Setter of the Week, averaging just shy of 13 assists per set over the past 3 matches.
Staying with the women, but heading to the pitch, Lady Flames soccer has been on fire lately, winning 3 straight after taking down Richmond on the road 1-0. It was Liberty's Bridie Herman who scored the winning goal in the 79th minute. The Lady Flames are now 4-1-1 on the season. We'll see if they can continue their success on the road against Pitt and Penn State up next.
All right, America's favorite Canadian, Rhett McGibbon, joins us now. That can only mean one thing, the return of warm, hot in Fuego.
Yes.
That's right.
Let's
All right,
go.
top player moment from the past week in Liberty Athletics. Rhett, let's kick it off.
Let's
Who
go.
do you pick?
Yeah, Delaney Dilfer.
Oh, yeah.
When I think about a volleyball setter, I think about baseball, starting pitching. In hockey, you need a quality goaltender between the pipes. You don't have a good setter, offense is not going to get going.
Yeah.
The pride of Austin, Texas. You know how I like to dabble in what foods are from around there. Breakfast tacos. Not breakfast burritos, tacos.
Both.
Yeah, go
Either
for it. You know,
or.
just pile them down. Why not? This young lady, she has the offense going at another level since she's come in, posted a double-double, 52 assists, 1 ace, 10 digs in a game, helping Liberty to a 3-1 win over Winthrop. And she's got the girls rolling. Like, that's what you want to see, just feeding it everywhere. They have weapons.
They do.
They've got so many weapons. Mangum's back. You just talked about Trinity Watts, right?
Yeah.
Burt's in the middle. This is a team that's going to be able to hammer it down, but now they have the facilitator, which is huge.
Yeah, she's been fun to watch so far here at Liberty, making the transfer over from Lipscomb.
Right.
All right, from warm, we go to hot. Who's your choice here?
Women's soccer, McKinley Burkett, this young lady.
Clutch
3 goals. Yeah, let's talk about food again, okay? She's from Moseley, Virginia.
Okay.
I'm trying to find, like, food there.
Yeah.
The best thing I could come up with is just go down to Aldi and see what's on that, like, special
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. We've all been there.
Right? Yeah,
we've
not
done
a lot
that.
going on. This young lady, you know, you have those seasons where it all starts to click, and that's what's happening right now for McKinley. She has been a dangerous weapon offensively. 3 goals, all at home. No wonder. They're undefeated at home. She's getting it done. She's creating turnovers in the offensive third. You see right here, the takeaway against the Herd, and then she bangs the top corner. She has just been great for this team. She can continue that offensive mojo throughout the year. This is a team 4-1-1, right? Like, that is an excellent start. They played some stiff competition, too. I could see it keep going.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen them. I watched them live. This is a team that has the confidence right now. They got good goaltending, goalkeeping, I guess I should say. This is a team that's on a roll, and I don't see it stopping.
And I like seeing them create some offense.
Yeah.
It's been a team that's been a struggle at times over the years, but they're kind of creating some offense here early on.
They pass it really well. Yeah.
In Fuego, your pick for In Fuego this week, who is it?
It's DeMario Douglas, the man known as Pop from Jacksonville, Florida. They have garlic crabs down there. That's like the go-to dish down in Jacksonville. Come on, try it.
Okay, I'd go for that.
Yeah, I like seafood. Are you a seafood guy or no?
You know,
yeah, so.
hit and miss.
I like garlic. Okay, but this guy.
I like DeMario Douglas, though, I can tell you that.
Pop has been unreal, and this. I think about Pop when he came into the Liberty program. There was a weakness at the wide receiver position. They didn't have that big target in the end zone. I think that worked out for him because he really had to do everything. Jack of all trades. You see it working out now. He is a red zone threat for a small guy. Does great work. 2 touchdowns, 97 yards. He was excellent.
And not going to slow down, I have a feeling, this season. All right, Rhett, great to have you back. Appreciate it. All right, still to come, the Flames won on the field, but who's winning in our Flames Fantasy League? We'll update you on those standings right after this.
A college education needs to work at your speed. Let's get you on track at Liberty University.
Does education mean a room with 4 walls, a desk, and a PowerPoint lecture?
Or is it something bigger?
What if it's the people beside you, 1 chair away or 1 ocean away?
What if it's the chance to learn from your mistakes, as well as your victories?
And the push to keep going either way. What if it's the freedom to reach for bigger things without missing the little ones in between?
For each of us, education looks a bit different.
Because we're each a bit different.
But at Liberty, we think education might just mean something big enough for all of us. That's Liberty to us.
What will Liberty be to you?
Top of the circle, sends it down low. Nice move. Gamer in front, scores! What a move! A snipe from the top of the circle, high on the glove side. Flames, a great shift here so far. Quickly fired ahead, down deep. Lobber after it, fires it around, and that's going to do it.
And welcome back. Thanks for sticking around for my favorite part of the show, updating you on the Flames Fantasy League standings after a crazy week 1 of Liberty football.
Yeah, you know, it's early. Don't put too much stock in just 1 week. Long way to go. But let's take a look at those point totals. Remember, standard fantasy football scoring applies. Our team consists of 3 offensive players, 2 defensive. Here's how it shook out after that Southern Miss win. Joe Yock holding the lead, 40.1 points. Big week for Demario Douglas for him.
Hey, but I'm not too far behind.
Okay.
Another big week, or a big week from Darrell Johnson
yeah,
as
he
well.
helped you, and there I am lurking in 3rd place. Be sure to check back throughout the season to see if Emily or Joe can break up my dynasty. I've been here before.
Again?
I've been here before. Down early,
Matt
no
Warner
problem.
is in
No
last place. That's a
One week.
perfect way.
Yeah, 1 week. Enjoy it while you can. That's right. Hey, we want to remind you, for any of our stories you may have missed, you can always go to flamecentral.com. Check them out. We'd love to have you stop by.
And we're staying with the Flame Central podcast as well, so you can watch on YouTube now, download it wherever you listen to your podcast. For Matt, I'm Emily. We'll see you right back here next week.